Welcome back to the channel. If you've seen any of the recent videos here, you know that I've been going through a whole bunch of lists. And today, we're going to continue that trend. And I'm going to share with you 5 essentials that I use every day in my private practice. Now, to be honest, you don't need too much to run a private practice as a therapist. You could probably get away with just using your phone if you really wanted to. However, I want my workflow to be both minimal and efficient. And so I found that these things help me do just that. And I want to share them with you as well. But before we do, you know the drill. If you haven't done so already, please do go ahead and subscribe down below and hit the thumbs up button on this video. It really is helpful. But only if you want to. There's no pressure. All right, let's jump right into it. The first essential I use is an application called Notion. It's a little hard to describe, but it's like a highly customizable productivity app that can be used for a whole bunch of different things. It is a little confusing to get started with Notion, but the good news is a whole bunch of people have made really good in-depth tutorials all about this. I'll link a few of those down below. But let me show you a few ways in which I use Notion on a daily basis. Now, the first function I use Notion for is the calendar feature. Now, keep in mind, this is not a HIPAA compliant software, so no client information or anything like that can be put inside of here. But nonetheless, I like to put all of my personal information in the Notion calendar, as well as reminders and to-do lists and all that kind of stuff. Now, the best way to kind of show you this is to kind of give you an example of how I might use the calendar. The reason why I like it so much is because it is so customizable. Now, let's say, for example, that I have a call coming up with a colleague, and we're going to discuss a training that we're going to. Now, I would put that event into the calendar, and once I do, that event itself becomes its own page. And then within that page, I can put down to-do lists. So maybe I want to talk to this colleague about a specific aspect of the training, or maybe I want to calculate the cost of the training. I can put in a table and kind of calculate all of that out. I mean, really, the opportunities are endless. And so what I really like is that each event becomes its own page. And then from there, you can do whatever you want with it. You can even put files inside of it. So maybe I have a receipt from the training and I stick it inside. Or maybe I get some readings from the training. I can drop them inside. And so now, when you look at it, it is just like the calendar and there's the event on it. But then if you click inside the event, all the information is right there. You can also export this as a PDF. And you can also do a whole bunch of things like put emojis on it. You can put a cover on it if you're kind of creative. I can really get carried away with Notion. It is really cool. Now, the other thing I use Notion for is as like a reading list. So I've made a list of things that I want to read, things that I have read, and things that I should or need to read. And in this way, I'm keeping track of all that I'm reading and researching that pertains to my practice. What's even really cool about it is that I can put down different labels on it. So I can label it as DBT or CBT or anxiety. Again, super customizable, highly efficient. And that is why I really like Notion. You know, if you do want to know more about how I use Notion personally, leave me a comment down below and maybe I'll make a video all about that. All right, moving right along, my second essential is my EMR, or my electronic medical record system. Now, this is really essentially the private practice. This is where client information lives. This is where you take notes. This is the brains behind the operation. There are so many different options when it comes to EMRs, but for me, I've chosen Simple Practice because it does a whole bunch of different things and it does those things really well. Let me share with you a few of the things that I have chosen Simple Practice for. First, just like the name implies, it is simple. I didn't have to spend months and months learning how to use it. After a couple of videos and a few articles and actually just using it, I was able to learn fairly quickly. So that was really good. Second, you can store client credit card information and process payments right from within Simple Practice. Just so you know, Simple Practice is a web-based software, so it's very easy to connect wherever you are. But the ability to process payments and accept payments inside of Simple Practice is huge and very convenient. Third, Simple Practice offers a telehealth function. So I actually don't use it myself, but to have the option is really good. They make a mobile application where you can actually do video visits with your clients. So very convenient. And then finally, Simple Practice makes an application for your phone, which I do use every single day. It's an application where if you really need to, you can take notes. You can actually do the video visits with your clients. You can check out your calendar, and you can send messages to clients all via the application. And then actually one other thing that I didn't mention is that Simple Practice has a client portal. This is where clients can upload information. You can share documents with them via the client portal. They can schedule visits online with you. The client portal is another really good feature of Simple Practice. And so this is just a few of the reasons why I chose Simple Practice as my EHR. Okay, so my third essential is actually my camera. Is this an essential? No, absolutely not. But I find myself using it every single day. And that's because as someone who's running a virtual private practice, I do want the experience to be as realistic as possible. And so by using the camera, the increase in visual quality really does help out. And I'm also able to take the camera and set it on a tripod or at some distance away from me to really set the scene. And this makes things a bit more realistic. So when the camera is moved back, you can actually see like the computer, you can see the desk that I'm sitting at, and it makes it feel more like you're in an office. Now, you do not need a fancy, expensive camera to do any of this, but you can actually use your cell phone, your iPhone, your Android, whatever you have, as a webcam. And to be honest, even your phone is going to be a massive upgrade to the camera that comes inside of your computer. So if you're looking to up your virtual game, that is one way to do it. And so yes, every day I'm using my camera as part of my private practice. So my fourth essential might seem quite obvious, but it is actually my laptop. The reason I bring this up is because some people want to run their private practice off an iPad or a phone, and that's totally doable. It just isn't all that efficient. Now, I use the laptop mainly because it has a full keyboard. And when you're taking a whole bunch of notes and doing a whole bunch of documentation, having access to a full keyboard is crucial. The other reason why I like to have this is because I can have multiple applications running at the same time and easily click in and out of them when needed. Also, on a Mac, and I think other computers as well, you can actually do a split screen function without having two monitors, which is really helpful. So for example, I can have Zoom open on one side with a client and then their medical record open on the other side, which allows me to both see them and keep accurate documentation. Or let's say I'm not seeing a client and I have my Notion pulled up with my to-do list. I can have my other calendar with client information on it, and I can compare the two side by side. Really, the options are endless. And actually, as a bonus tip, if you are a Mac user, let me show you really quick how to split the screen without two monitors. So what you would do is you would hop right over here and you see that green circle. You kind of click and hold that, and then it will allow you to drag the window either to the right or to the left. Once you do that, you can select another open window and boom, you have a split screen. So my fifth essential is actually my phone, and for reasons that are not so obvious. The reason why it's an essential for me is actually because of how I position it on my desk. So what I like to do is position it on a tripod, and I use it as a third screen. So for example, if I have a client that I'm seeing on Zoom on one side of the screen, and on the other I have their record pulled up to take notes, and then I need to schedule them, I use my phone actually as the third screen to pull up the calendar on the Simple Practice application. And so I can have all three functions opened at once. And so actually this 3-screen method, using my phone as the third screen, can be used in so many different creative ways. And so I find it to be very essential to running an efficient private practice. All right, so that is it for today's video. I hope you found it helpful. I hope you learned something. I will be posting consistent content to this YouTube channel, so do go ahead and subscribe down below. Other than that, I look forward to seeing you soon.